Okay. Mogli, the Iceburg. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are in the coffee area, if you're shopping the Holy Smoke merch, tune into the Indie Tribe studio right here. You know, zoos, they got animals. You can peek through the windows. We've got the best artists in the world right here. So Mogli, the Iceburg, Holy Smoke, 2024. How you feeling right now?
Dude, I'm feeling really good right now. Like I'm done with my performance segments. We had the Indie Tribe set last night.
Yep.
Had the Bodywash set today. And now I guess get to see all of the hard work unfold, see people experience it.
Yeah.
And, the nerves, the stress is mostly gone. So, yeah, I'm feeling very, very good. I'm liking how I'm seeing from the people here. I'm liking the responses. Nothing is going catastrophically wrong. So,
That's great.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people don't know what goes on. They hear the music, they see the posts, but they don't know what goes on behind the scenes of creating an independently run music festival.
Yeah.
So if you could tell us maybe your role and what it's like. So
there are certain things that all of us kind of have a collective decision-making process on. I'd say that Indie Tribe, Chelsea, Indie Wise, we all have like a collective responsibility for determining the vision, the scope, what we want to do with the entire festival, the lineup, general flow, schedule, stuff like that. I think we all have like a fairly equal say, but then we have specific areas where we have responsibilities. So for me, my responsibility is making sure that everything that happens with production that needs to happen, happens. Everything that happens with, artists, writers are taken care of. All the videos that you're seeing on socials, as well as the sets on YouTube, all of that's happening.
Yep.
And then honestly, I'm doing a lot of grunt work. I'm editing a lot of video.
Yeah.
We're all responsible for promoting this. And a lot of that just, thankfully, because people are tapped in, like, a lot of the promotion is just us being Indie Tribe and putting music out and tapping it with the homies.
Yeah. What is it like to be an independent artist, versus a label artist?
Well, the work has to be done by somebody.
Yep.
When you sign to a label, you're giving up that lion's share of the revenue in exchange for not having to do some of that work.
Yeah.
In reality, you're still gonna have to do a lot of the same work. It doesn't matter, unless you're already very famous.
Yeah.
The labels just try to tell you, hey, you need to make short form content. You need to make a buzz for yourself. So it's like, hey, if we're here, why not just see this thing inside and out and actually have ownership in what we're doing?
Yeah. I love it, man. It's so good. Bring us back to the genesis of Indie Tribe.
Yeah. So really, Indie Tribe was like I would say it started when me and Dill met each other. At the time, both of us were at MTSU, and we had been doing our own things. There was some awareness of each other from a distance, just because we're kind of doing similar things. But I think to some extent, it was inevitable that we would link up because, like, over a long enough period of time, there's only so many people that are willing to really show that you have the stomach for doing what it takes at the level that needs to be done, simultaneously with the values that we share.
Yeah.
Because especially in hip hop, there's ways that if you're just trying to be a rapper that you move.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, what is normal comes with certain moral sacrifices that neither he nor I were willing to make.
Yeah.
So we knew people. We both knew other people that had the grind and had the stomach to do what we're doing.
Yeah.
We also both knew people that had the value systems and the beliefs. Really, at the time, we were the only people that had both.
Yeah.
So when we really tapped in with each other, it was like, oh, there's other people, so it was very natural for us to just start working together.
Yeah.
And Indie Tribe at first, it was a very kind of a loose ethos that Dill was starting to pioneer. and it was like, I don't think there was ever a moment where there was like a flag in the ground. It was like, this is the origin.
Sure.
But before we knew it, it's like, you know, at the time Rapzilla was like really, they were the ones. Like they're the ones introducing people, and there was just this weird moment where like things went from us being local artists to becoming tapped into this ecosystem.
Yeah.
And that's where the snowball just started going.
Yeah, I'm sure it evolved completely in real time for you
Yeah.
guys too, which is amazing. And, you know, like members in, members out, and you know where you are today. And I'm just so thankful for you being pioneers, you know?
Yeah, thanks, man.
And it means a lot. And for you to throw a festival like Holy Smoke, it's a big undertaking, but a massive win for the kingdom.
Yes.
Because, you know, 1,400 people coming to glorify God. And even every artist that I've sat with during these interviews, just powerful witness and testimony of the love of the Lord. So to walk us through your walk with God and when you decide to start making music for God.
So I think there were a lot of things, and you know, I don't want to get like too drawn out with this, but like there were a lot of things that happened in my life that made me very skeptical. A lot of things, you know, my parents are more or less first generation believers.
Okay.
You know, so that was the environment that I was raised in. My parents are very zealous. They're not cultural Christians.
Yeah.
You know, I'm naturally a very skeptical, very curious person.
Yeah.
And just be real, man, like I went through a lot of loss, a lot of trauma from a young age that made me very jaded about the world. And there was a certain cynicism I think I carried with me that made me very hostile.
Yeah.
To I guess what was the default worldview of my parents.
Yeah.
So I kind of had to I kind of had to step out in college and really take a journey to decide what I believed.
Yeah.
And you know, that took me exploring other worldviews. That took me trying to, you know, really honestly just evaluate like what I can observe, what I can see about the world, about humanity, about history, about philosophy, all these things. And that ultimately ended up to more or less exactly where I came from.
Yeah.
and also being okay with like realizing that's not just like confirmation bias. That's not just like my cultural, you know, predisposition.
Yeah.
So I had to find reason for my faith. So that was one. And how that intersected with the art, you know, I started out being like a quote unquote like positive rapper.
Okay.
And
so rap was your first.
It was. And rap was my first thing primarily because that's all I could do.
Okay.
I've always wanted to make other types of music.
Yeah.
And this is not me saying rap is a lower art form.
No.
But the barrier to entry to starting rap is much lower than the barrier of entry to other certain types of music. Now, just because the barrier to entry is low doesn't mean that it's not a very high bar to reach competence or excellence.
Yeah.
And when I started, I was neither. Yeah. For sure. But I was closer to competent in rap than I would be at any other thing, right?
Sure.
And hip hop had always been a passion of mine. Yeah. And you know, there's always been a lane of hip hop of being like positive or like conscious, you know. Yeah. But I think what was a big turning for me, I had a homie put me on to Heroes for Sale by Andy Mineo.
Andy, yeah.
And I had heard of Lecrae, and I'm not gonna lie, the first several times I heard of Lecrae, I thought it was very corny. As well as some of the reach stuff at the time. But when I heard Heroes for Sale, I was like, wait a second, one, this album sounds immaculate. This album sounds as good or better as like the mainstream hip hop I was tapped into at the time. Yeah. Two, Andy was coming with bars, bro. Yeah. You know, like that one line of Hero for Sale, we all fall short, like trying to shoot a medicine ball from half court. I'm like, this guy's a monster, dude. So that led me down this, you know, down into YouTube and discovering like Rapzilla, and that there's this whole world, there's this whole ecosystem of independent music, which I've always loved. Yep. And then like people are just like innovating and making very compelling, very honest, very authentic art. But truthfully, it got to a point where I was moving with my career. I had opened up a show, I think it was like with 3 6 Mafia, and
What?
stuff in
You opened for
Murfreesboro,
3 6?
Tennessee. Like it was a long time ago, bro.
But
It was
still, you
weird.
opened for 3 6 Mafia.
Yeah,
Talk
dog.
about resume
but
builder.
like that's not the flex. That's not. I mean, like that's not the flex that you might think it is, right?
Okay.
But I just remember like seeing some of the stuff going on and seeing what was working for those audiences and those demographics, and just being like, dog, this could never be me.
Mm-hmm.
Like if this is like what I need to conform to, like this is just, it's not happening.
Yeah.
Like this can never be me.
Yeah.
Right. And most of the rap I was seeing and what I was getting exposed to was closer to that. Right.
Okay.
So, and at the time, Derek Minor is also an alumni from MTSU, and I had a lot of friends that were tapped in with him.
Yeah.
Some interns at
MTSU
Reflection.
is where?
Middle Tennessee State University.
Okay.
So it's about 30 minutes south of Nashville.
Okay.
So yeah, it's not in Nashville, but it's close
Yeah.
by, right?
Okay.
And you know, I remember seeing like Derek Minor being like, oh, this guy really has a career, you know, and like the affiliation with Reach and Reflection and everything
Yeah.
he was going on. And I remember there was a moment where I had a conversation with a homie, and I just kind of resolved it, that I'm like, you know what, I guess rap will never be more than just like a little hobby or a passion project, but I'm gonna be comfortable with like what I represent and not pull any punches with what I believe.
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna feel right with my soul with the music that I'm making.
Yeah.
And I actually like I laid it down. I laid the ambition down and just decided like, look, I have accepted that this isn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
There's no money, there's no career in this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And man, this is like making me emotional just talking about this, but like it's wild because like it was after I laid that down that like I saw movement.
Yep. And you're not the first person that said that in these conversations.
Yeah, I mean, Jesus literally says like you have to lose your life to gain it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, so
Yeah.
it's like,
Wow.
duh, like
Yeah.
of course,
That's the
but
formula.
of course you have to die to yourself first. You know?
Yeah.
So it's crazy how poetic that is.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can hear me, Philip,
Yeah,
but
they
good
can
seeing
hear
you, bro.
Yeah.
So it's just so funny because it's like, and that's why it makes me emotional, because it's like when you look at hindsight, it's like, duh. You know, but like at the time, that was the legitimate posture of my heart of like, okay, well, I'm cooked,
Mm-hmm.
but I'll be cooked and uncompromised.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And like and to see what God has done with our careers, man,
Yeah.
it's like, I mean, not to flex, but my homies that tried to conform with the 3 6 Mafia stuff are not doing sold out festivals that they own and operate and, you know, hitting top 10 Spotify debuts.
Right.
You know
No,
what
I'm saying, and you know, I was having a conversation with you the other day saying, you know, Indy 500, what I was listening to was just on another level, from another planet.
Yeah.
It better than any hip hop that I'm hearing in mainstream these days.
Dang.
And so for you, and I'm a tough critic, just like you were saying, you know, listen to Christian rap earlier in the day, like but it takes a lot for me to be really like hyped on it. And when I'm hyped on it, I'm hyped on it. And it's just mind blowing. And it's only getting started, bro.
Yeah. No, it's wild, bro. It's wild. And you know, it's just like Dill's been saying in his album, bro, like hip hop has a renaissance. Only problem is the Christians got it.
Yep.
And that really is, bro.
Yep.
It's like, dog, like,
Well-
and the culture only has so much appetite for
Yeah.
music totally vapid and devoid of meaning and purpose. You know, it's like we're there's too much going on in the world, bro. Like people, I'm sorry, dog. Like Travis Scott has no substance at all.
Yeah.
Drake has no substance at all.
Yeah.
Kendrick, at least he has substance.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
his substance is totally misled.
Yeah.
You know, but like people are they're starving for
They're
something,
hungry.
bro. And
They're hungry.
And it's just like anything else, you know, when you see places in the world where it's like, you know, circumstances dire, that's where you see the gospel thrive. And unfortunately, maybe fortunately, we're seeing a lot of dire effects on culture and humanity, and we're starving for it.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, the state of the world in that way is like, it's like CO2 for the plant life that's like CHH.
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah. It's beautiful. And I'm just super excited to see what God's going to do with it. But I'm also grateful for people like you and Indie Tribe that are in the driver's seat, in my opinion, and really taking things to a new place, which is exciting. What's one thing that most people don't know about you?
I think one thing most people don't know about me is I'm an absolute nerd.
Yeah.
Like, I am such a nerd, dude. Like, if I didn't make music, I'd probably be like an economist.
Okay. Great.
Yeah.
Love it.
I'd be like probably like writing a political manifesto or something like.
That's great. I love it. You know, but a lot of brilliant minds. Yeah, people come in here saying that all kinds of like magic cards, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. It's like you're using your brain.
Yeah.
In a powerful way, and it's
you know,
okay to be a nerd.
It's cool because Indie Tribe and like everything, all of us have different roles and they have different giftings, and you know, there's been a lot of opportunities for me to use those specific giftings in this, and all of our brains work in different ways. And like Dill's brain, a lot of times people refer to me as like the brain of Indie Tribe, but bro, the Buchanan scholars are like the elite people at MTSU.
Yeah.
Dill's one of them.
Wow.
Like his head is huge, like physically, but it's because he has a very big brain.
Wow. So Dill is the alien.
Dill is the quiet intellectual superpower of Indie Tribe, actually. Yeah.
So can you walk us through all of the guys and maybe some quirky things, strengths, weaknesses, moments, things like that?
So John bleeds charisma out of his pores. You know, there is just something that you either have it or you don't. You can't teach it. He just has it. You know, that comes through, and when he steps in a room, when he steps on stage, when he starts a song, you know, that is John's superpower, in my opinion. Michael is one of the biggest like encouragers and supporters. Like that dude is just such a reliable dude. Like he is. I mean, he looks like a bodyguard. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But like that's how he is like emotionally too. Tori, bro. Tori is Tori's just so talented, and like it's like we don't when he became a part of Indie Tribe, we didn't even really fully understand how much of a monster Tori is. Yeah. But you know, Tori is interesting, bro, because like he's very philosophical. He is also, Tori 100% has the most street cred in Indie Tribe, bro. Like that, I mean, he's from East St. Louis, bro.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's a lot that comes with that, and not just like, you know, kind of casually, but like Tori, like he knows how to move, bro.
Yeah.
And he's tapped into a different side of culture than us.
Yeah.
And he has a different perspective than us.
Yep.
At the same time, we also speak the same language.
Yep. And
we share the same value system, we share the same beliefs. Our theological conversations are crazy. And then Dill, bro. Dill is like, he is like such a natural like leader archetype. You know, he is a campaigner. He knows how to encourage people. He knows how to rally people to an objective. It's not a coincidence that Dill is at the forefront of all of this. So yeah, in short, that's Indie Tribe for you.
That's great. And I heard for Indy 500, y'all rented an Airbnb for like a week.
So we did that for Low Blow.
Oh, you did for Low Blow. Okay.
Some of the stuff on Indy 500 was started in that phase. Some of the stuff was started when we were finishing Low Blow.
Oh, okay.
We had an idea of doing a separate project right after Tori was announced, and things just got too crazy.
Yeah.
So Indie Tribe.
What was that project going to be?
I can't say.
Oh, okay.
I can't say.
Because it could come out.
Yeah, it might.
Okay.
So Low Blow was a full album camp, and that was before Tori came into the picture.
Okay.
Indy 500 was a lot more remote.
Really?
It was a lot more remote, and it was a lot more frantic. Like it was made very, very quickly.
Okay.
And I think there's like an urgency and excitement that you can feel with that. This year, at the end of the year, we're locking in again, first time with Tori for like another serious writing camp. And you know, there's a lot of vision casting. There's a lot of like us figuring out like what the next chapter looks like. Yeah. There's gonna be a next chapter, but like whereas Indie 500 is like, it's like mixtape energy, you know, it's fun. The next chapter is like, we're thinking about our legacy. We're thinking about like, where are we taking this?
Sure.
Like for real, you know?
Wow. It's exciting.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. And like I said, I mean, If Indy 500 is an appetizer, I'm ready for the main course.
Yeah, man.
That's amazing. So what's the best advice you ever received?
I think good music. Well, I think the best advice simply is like be undeniable. Get out of your head of being a victim, or you have to take responsibility for your life. And if you become undeniable with music and you pursue it consistently, eventually you'll win.
Yeah.
Has to be competent, has to be consistent and sustained. Eventually you win. And eventually is a key thing, because eventually it can be 6 months, eventually it can be 8 years.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? It's up to you to maintain the competency and maintain the consistency.
Yeah.
But like, I've yet to see both of those things not eventually win.
Right.
But eventually is a hard word.
Yeah. And it's God's time too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. For those that are watching and maybe they have a strong faith, maybe they don't know Jesus, maybe they want to get stronger, they already have a faith foundation, how can you encourage their faith walk right now?
Man, seek and you'll find. I think there are so many resources that are available if you sincerely want to determine what you want to believe.
Yeah.
I don't think these things are arbitrary, but at the same time, I don't think faith is scientific, in the sense of like, most people have to decide in their heart that they want to. You have to die to yourself. You have to die to the desire to live hedonistically. And I think there's like you have to be honest with yourself of like, do I actually have this intellectual objection to the gospel, or is it I have an emotional or hedonistic objection to the conclusion that would put on my life?
Yeah.
And that's a difficult thing, and I think it takes a certain level of maturity to know yourself.
Yeah.
But I think I really do think if you honestly just pursue truth, it's abundantly clear.
Yeah.
The resources are there.
Yeah.
The material there. The evidence is there. Be honest with yourself, and be honest with the sin that you're trying to justify in your life.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's okay to ask questions.
100%.
That's what I'm saying. Like, we think that we can't. I mean, God's a big mystery. We will never understand.
And the other thing, bro, is that, dog, I personally believe the umbrella of Christianity is massive.
Yeah.
There are, so a lot of people have objections to the faith, and it's actually, you have an objection to a cultural niche that might not even be like representative of truth at all. Like, dog, the body of Christ is so big.
Yeah.
There's the body of the diversity of academic, theological, intellectual, political understandings of the gospel is very diverse. But like, dog, the gospel is simple, bro.
Yeah, it is.
Like, dog, love the Lord your God and love your neighbor as yourself.
Yeah.
If you're doing those things, you are like, don't put more requirements on it than Jesus does.
Yeah.
Pursue Jesus.
Yeah.
Truthfully, things will work themselves out.
100%. It's beautiful. Tori, he said, he added a third one. He's like, and God said, make disciples of all nations. Like,
yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like, that was great. That was what he left us with. And it was really neat because we always know love God, love people.
Yeah.
But it's true.
Yeah.
We're supposed to make disciples now.
It's true.
Which is great. I love that.
True.
It's so cool. All right. Well, we didn't get to talk about Bodywash. I'd like to briefly cover how did that come about?
So, man, if people have tapped into my solo music with Mogli, I've always incorporated a lot of alternative sounds and aesthetics, both visually and sonically.
Yeah.
And I think I came to the realization that if I wanted to do that, I had to fully commit to it. And it also needed an algorithmic refresh.
Yep.
And there's a window to do things, and the window for me to do this was shrinking. So I had to do it.
Yeah.
And it's something I've always wanted to do. For me personally, making that type of music is much more difficult.
Yeah.
That you think of all the nuances of a rapper.
Yeah.
And again, this isn't me downplaying hip hop at all. I'm a student of the game. Hip hop is one of my favorite things ever. This is authentically my culture, right? But if you think about all the nuances of a vocal delivery, you have that plus all the nuances of playing a guitar.
Yeah.
And you can play the guitar just as nuanced as you can deliver your vocals, and you're doing the same at once. And then you have basically it comes down to you're tracking live instruments.
Yep.
And that's expensive, and it's a lot more resource and time consuming than programming something in MIDI.
Yep.
Right? So it's hard. It's taken me, I've wanted to do this for a long time, and I wasn't going to put anything out until I felt like it could really stand and hold its own in the marketplace.
Yeah.
I think I'm there.
Yeah.
You know, it's not, there's still, it could be better. You know, the mixes could be better, but done is better than perfect.
Sure.
And I had to get it started. So, but like, I feel I'm so passionate about it. If it never goes anywhere, it's incredibly fulfilling.
Bro, I love it. And I'm a fan of, you know, POD and Nirvana, and hearing, it's like I get reminiscent, you know, of these great rock bands, and the fact that you're doing it for the Lord is great. So I'm really excited that you committed and went all in.
Yeah, thank you, bro.
It's beautiful. So for everybody watching, I know everyone knows you on this channel. This is your channel.
Yeah.
Indie Tribe TV. And I wanted to know, can you tell people how they can support you, listen to you, follow you, new projects, stuff like that?
Yeah, man. I mean, y'all probably already tapped in with Indie Tribe, but man, Bodywash.band, Mogli the Iceburg, Smoke Festival, bro. Like, we're here to stay, man.
Yeah. Let's get it. Let's get it. Well, we're going to conclude today with some rapid fire questions.
Okay.
First thought that comes to mind. Are you ready?
I am.
Favorite flavor ice cream?
Salt caramel stuff.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Favorite color?
Black.
Go-to snack?
Cheese.
Music artist you admire?
Deftones.
Last song you listened to?
Body Wash.
Favorite,
Awake.
favorite movie ever?
Ooh. Count of Monte Cristo.
Book that you read that's greatly impacted you?
The Bitcoin Standard by Seyfedin Amos.
What inspires you?
Indie Tribe.
Favorite TV show?
Malcolm in the Middle.
Biggest pet peeve?
People not being self-aware or having too big of an ego.
If you could have superhero power, what would it be?
Time control.
If you could have dinner with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be?
Are we categorically like taking Jesus off the table?
I mean, he technically is dead and alive, so.
Right. Okay. So, if it's not Jesus, Enoch.
Okay. Life goal.
To honor the Lord with my family and my art.
And finish the sentence. God is
everything, everywhere, all at once.
amazing. Mogli the Iceberg. Ladies and gentlemen, Smoke Fest 2024. God bless you, bro.
Thank you, bro.
The future looks bright.
Thanks, Doc.